Have you done that?
First of all,
I do it every day.
First of all, do not choose a woman who don't want to be a woman.
Right.
So you don't want to be a woman. No, you don't want to be a woman.
Yelling doesn't mean you're winning an argument. It's a sign of low intelligence. You can lower your voice and speak to me. I'm sitting right here. I can hear.
So today we're discussing gender roles, and we have a few clips to watch. And then, in the back end, we'll go ahead and discuss. But we have two opposing views, which seem to be from two men who are feminists, actually, but they differ in ideology as to how gender roles should play out in a relationship or a marriage. So we'll listen to someone on TikTok, and then we'll listen to some other clips as well that have opposing views, and then we'll come back to discuss.
Gender roles. When I get in a relationship, me and my woman, we're not going to do that. As a man, if I'm sitting in the house and I see the dishes need to be washed, I'm not waiting for my woman to come home and do that. She had a long day just like me. If I see the clothes need to be washed, I'm not waiting for her to put no clothes in the washing machine. If I see some clothes in the washing machine when I get ready to wash the other one, I'm not going to sit and wait for her to put them in the dryer. I'm going to put them in the dryer. And if I look in the dryer and I see some clothes need to be pulled out and need to be folded, I'm not going to wait for her to come home and fold them. I'm going to fold them. If I see the bathroom need to be cleaned, I'm going to clean the bathroom. I know good and well my mama wasn't teaching me all of this stuff for me to grow up and expect a woman to do all of it on her own. And I know how to cook. I'm not waiting for her to do all the cooking, baby. Hey, what you want to eat? I'm going to fix her plate. Bring it to her while she's sitting down watching TV. Baby, you want something to drink too? Then I'm going to go pour her the drink. Bring it back here. The Most High created the man first, taught him everything. Then he said it wasn't good for men to be alone. Then he gave him a helper. So if y'all doing gender roles, why you ain't doing the majority of everything? I'm not a fan of gender roles. When I get in a relationship.
Okay, buddy. Okay, it sounds good at first listen, but there's some red flags in there that we have to address. He is not in a relationship, and he's saying all the things that he would do. He would do this, he would do that. That sounds good, but he's not in a relationship. He's saying cooking and cleaning and laundry as if that is the entirety of household management. He's missing children if they have any, and then he's missing all of the other things, such as women do a lot of personal assistant work, right? Calling doctors, making appointments, social calendars, socializing, showing up for the family, holidays, Christmas presents, just things that keep things organized, inventory in the house. What do we need to buy? What do we need to do? There's a host of other tasks that he's leaving out. So, I'm realizing that, but this is interesting. And so what we're going to do is go ahead and compare this with another video and then play those, and then I'll come back for my full commentary.
A woman has to go work like a man every day, and a man goes work and he's tired when he gets home. A woman's not tired. She has to clean, cook, do the dishes, do the laundry. Are you kidding me?
Why don't you want to do that?
What are you talking about? Why don't I want to? You know how fucking tiring that is? Have you done that?
First of all,
I do it every day.
First of all, do not choose a woman who don't want to be a woman.
Right.
So you don't want to be a woman. No, you don't want to be a woman.
Yelling doesn't mean you're winning an argument. It's a sign of low intelligence. You can lower your voice and speak to me. I'm sitting right here. I can hear you. So all this, I cook and I clean and yeah, that's part of your function. But when your tire is flat, my function is to make sure you have a new tire.
But
when your car need an oil change, it's my job to make sure these people ain't ripping you off. We have different duties and functions and responsibilities. And if you don't love your duty, your function, your responsibility, you're not fit to be a wife, period.
So you're telling me that a woman
So there's another part where we hear a little bit more of what they're discussing, so we'll play that now.
Coming home, I'm cleaning my house, and yes, I do that anyways, but when it's just you, it's just you. When you are cleaning up for a man and his children and other people, it is a whole full-time job, and you don't get time for yourself, and that's why women get burnt out, and you're no longer happy in your relationship, because you're coming home, and a man is sitting on the couch because he's tired from work, and you're making sure you're catering to him.
So what? So what? So what?
I don't understand. Where is the value in that?
Fellas, do not choose a woman who don't want to be a woman.
Are you delusional?
The modern day women, right there. I'm gonna go to work like you. Then you want me to cook, clean. So what? Yes, you're gonna cook, clean, do this and do that. And guess what? He taking the trash out, he fixing the house, he making sure this. But we have different duties, functions, and responsibilities. My wife don't want my duties, and I don't want hers. We have different responsibilities. Just because I can see you cook the food and you can't see me clean the gutters, you don't even care about that stuff, but it still need to be done. Men have different responsibilities. So all this, I cook and I clean and that's part of your function. But when your tire is flat, my function is to make sure you have a new tire.
But
when
that's
your
what
car
I'm
need
saying.
an oil change, it's my job to make sure these people ain't ripping you off. We have different duties and functions and responsibilities. And if you don't love your duty, your function, your responsibility, you're not fit to be a wife, period.
Okay, so we watched the clips, the 3 clips. The guy in the blue, as I said, he seems to be pre-relationship, and I appreciate the things that he's saying. He gives off later wave feminism vibes. And the gentleman in the other clips, he gives off first wave, where women were allowed into the workforce, and then went home to do all of the jobs that were deemed to be the feminine role. He was deflecting. He was, his eyes were darting. He was deflecting, and he was lying. He lied a lot. Statistically, if we pull up the statistics, men actually outsource a lot of the jobs that he says that they are burdened with, and too busy to do helping with the housework for. So he mentioned cleaning gutters. I don't know in modern time many men who clean gutters. That was a very weird thing to say, whereas the woman, albeit screaming her head off, I think she's very much triggered, and she needs to, communicate in a more calm way, because your message doesn't come through with all of that. But I'm not here for behavior modification. But he mentioned cleaning gutters and changing oil in a car. If we pull up the statistics, most people outsource that and hire a mechanic. And if we look at it, dollar for dollar, right? Household labor would it would be more expensive than the things he mentioned in the United States. In other countries, perhaps it might be a bit closer, but that's because people are paid not a fair wage anyways. Because household labor is, let's just be honest, considered slave labor, right? So he's saying, so what? We both worked. I have to change your oil, fix a flat tire, and clean the gutters is mostly what he mentioned. He didn't even mention yard work, which I'm glad he didn't, because if we look at, again, statistically, it's outsourced. Or I see a lot of women do a lot of garden work and yard work recently. So he mentioned things that we'll see that men don't do at all. And so if we strip that away, taking into the statistics, taking the statistics, and then his argument is null and void, because he's not given any other rules or duties besides throwing out the garbage, which could possibly be in some households daily, which is maybe about a 5-minute job. But again, aside from tossing it into a bin and putting it on the curb once a week, also is not a very involved job, and also is outsourced when it comes to the other end of it, of disposing of said garbage. So he had a very weak argument, but he had a calm demeanor, and possibly came off as, more cognizant and more, stronger than the screaming woman. But she probably is triggered because what he's saying is not true. He's lying, and his eyes are darting all over the place, and you can tell that I think he knows he's lying. But I would call him a first wave feminist, where both men are feminists, which I'm sure they would be shocked to know. But he was okay with the woman working. He never had a problem both of the men never had a problem with the woman holding a job. Their problem was their conversation and their aspect was all about, the household labor. The first guy, the blue guy, whatever, he was like, yeah, I'm going to help out with cleaning, cooking, and laundry. Those are the only three things that he mentioned. None of the other things, like, personal assistant, making appointments, calling doctors, keeping up with the children's school, knowing who the teachers are, knowing your kid's birthday. Nope, no, none of that was mentioned. And then the other guy was like, so what? So what? We have to change oil. Men don't change oil anymore in that capacity. They have auto shops for a lot of that stuff. It's outsourced all the time. Like, are we in the year 2025? Are we back in the year 91, when cars were a little bit more simplistic, or even the 80s, and you could kind of work on your car yourself because you had a lot of time on your hands to work on cars because the women were doing everything else, right? He mentioned cleaning gutters, like, guy, why are we playing games? So he was playing in her face. He was literally playing in her face and pretending as if the things that he was saying were valid or reasonable, and they weren't. Men don't do that. And that man sitting right there in the flesh, I'm sure he doesn't do any of the things he said he's too busy to help out with housework to do. And it's a travesty. But this all really proves the point that if a woman wants to go ahead and get into a relationship with the opposite sex, if he doesn't have enough finances to assist with paying for a nanny or even a personal chef or housekeeper in a strong aspect where they're there more often than like once every 2 weeks, once a month, even once a week, you're still burdened with a whole lot of chores. There was a university that petitioned for adding to the budget a stipend for the women who were professors, to provide for them an allowance to hire help at home, because the husband professors, their male counterparts, were able to do published work and things like that, as PhDs and such, and the women were going home from work in the same level, right? They're both like, professional professors and such, and they were going home to work again. And so while he's in his office grading papers and doing all the things, the women were cleaning up, picking up, and doing things, because let's face it, as the guy was saying, cleaning gutters, throwing out the trash, all those things that he was mentioning, putting oil in the car, changing oil, those things are outsourced, and he also mentioned a flat tire, right? Those things are outsourced, and they're also seldom. They're not, consistently day by day, every day. And that's what the woman was saying, was she was exasperated because she's like, what? Why? He's lying. Those are not everyday occurrences. However, cleaning a kitchen is every day. Cleaning floors, mopping floors, making things neat and organized every day. Emptying dishwasher, loading dishwasher every day. Cooking a meal, sometimes even from scratch, every day. If he had to take his money and compare it to fixing out a blowout tire, which happens to people maybe once every 5 years, maybe 10. Gutters, what is that? I don't even know. I'm ignorant about the gutters, but I'm sure it's kind of like, maybe every 3 years, perhaps. It's a gutters seasonal, producer says. Okay. And then what else did he mention? Oil, right? Changing the oil is like every 100,000, 50,000 miles or something like that. That is not every day. 3,000 miles. So that's like annually almost. One job every year. Oh, okay. Every few months, producer says. Every 3 months, one job. You got a job to do every 3 months, and you don't even do it. You outsource it, right? But the cost of those jobs, men outsource it because it's ineffective. You know what they don't outsource? Nanny, babysitter, that often, personal chef for 3 meals a day, if not more. And they also don't outsource housekeeper every single day. They can't afford it because the job that the woman is doing is so expensive compared to these once in a while jobs that it's laughable to me that people are still on the internet pretending as though, number one, that men even do these things, because they don't. And then number two, it's equally valued when actually those jobs are seldom, which is very convenient to say that's what men do, something that happens every 3 months versus something that happens every single day. So for the 3 months, she's working 90 days. Nonstop, 90 days for the 3 months that you do something. You would have to have a live-in nanny, a personal chef, and a housekeeper every single day. That's practically live-in as well. To equal the every 2 weeks landscaping, mowing the lawn, to equal the 5 minutes of throwing out trash, it's just, it's apples and bananas, honestly. But he had the hubris to get on the internet and pretend as though that if we kept gender roles intact as they are for a relationship, that it's fair for a woman to work every single day without help, and for the man to work seldomly because, I gotta, clean the gutters, which, what man ever cleans gutters? Like, what are we talking about? So anyway, look at the statistics. Do your research yourself. See how much of these jobs are outsourced versus how many jobs women take and complete day by day by day. And if that doesn't convince you, then you are part of the problem. Now, my solution is, of course, separatism. I don't think women and men should be in the same relationship together because obviously, if you're hearing this man, even both of them, right? Both of them are feminists. In that they appreciate the equality where your wife works alongside you, right? She takes on the full aspects of earning a wage. However, the guy in the blue, he's like, I stop at cooking, cleaning, laundry. He didn't mention any of all the other things that a woman does. So he's a problem. And he thought he did something. He thought he ate that, but he didn't. He's a problem. And then the other guy, God help us, is first wave feminism, where it's like, yeah, women can work, but they never solved any problem of making it possible to get some help in the house. And let's face it, it's expensive for all this cooking and cleaning and such every single day. If anybody wants to live in a clean house, but nobody wants to acknowledge all of that invisible labor that women do. And that's where the separatism comes in at. If you don't have a man that can afford all of those things in these years where you're having children and whatnot, it's not worth it. It's slave labor. And he is basically berating that woman and wanting her to, he said, so what? So many times. I mean, the attitude is clear. It's there. You can see it. You can smell it almost through the screen. He wants her to put on the handcuffs and agree to slavery. And let's just face it, that's what's going on in that entire conversation. And she is rightfully upset because why would you want someone to volunteer to be your slave? Disgusting. Who are you? So yes, no. If he doesn't have the money, then he doesn't get the honey. And that's it. I'm out on this. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.